What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to your clothing guide, TheHoxtonTrend. Right, literally I've just woken up and I said that this morning I was going to do a video on Arcadia Group. I thought that would be quite interesting. I was going to do a video on the rise and fall of Arcadia Group and Topshop. But what actually happened is I went onto our Facebook group, which is right here. This is our Facebook group on Facebook. But anyway, so literally we've just touched 10k on Facebook as well. So we've just reached 10,000 members, which is absolutely amazing. Considering I think it's like we've been up for about a year or maybe a year and a half, something like that, but we've come a real long way, and we're going to be doing a competition on that. So if you want to find out about this competition, join up to the group. Simply just sign up. Remember, when you do sign up, make sure to answer all the questions, because people that do not answer the questions, unfortunately, like this guy, okay, he's been invited, so he gets approved, that's cool. But yeah, if you don't agree to the questions, then we don't sign you up. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, someone put a post up on our Hoxton Money Matters group. So they've basically found an article on Klarna. So I thought, do you know what? When I read this article, I thought it would be interesting to kind of have a look and see about this Klarna and get people's thoughts, because it's been going on for a while, this Klarna. If you don't know about it, it's a buy now, pay later type of website that's kind of been advertised as like a cool way for you to kind of spread your costs. I just thought it was interesting because people have different thoughts on it. I've definitely got my thoughts on it as well, which I will come to. But I think people feel like there's a good and a bad side to things like Klarna, and a lot of retailers use them. So I just thought it would be interesting to cover. But this article here from The Sun, it says Fury as Love Island stars plug buy now pay later site, and Klarna getting Brits into debt. So I just want to go through people's comments. Don't see why the promoters are being attacked, to be honest. Not their problem what people do with it. Unsecured credit has pushed millions into debt in the UK. Influencers taking the bag to promote it for the purchase of clothes is morally bankrupt. Would be interesting to know how many of these defaulters have been passed on to debt collection agencies. Interesting. Klarna, ClearPay and Co. Most people who will use these services will be in more precarious financial positions than most, or lack the money to pay up front. Encouraging people to go into debt for clothes or shoes is irresponsible and unethical. This guy says that's why I stick to Brand Max. It's all man them can afford. So if you don't know about Brand Max is a place, let me see if I can just find that really quickly for you, 1 second. So Brand Max was going around a couple of months ago, and it's like a retailer. I think it's in Ireland, and they got a few in the UK. But literally people were going mad over Brand Max because there was just so many crazy deals going on in there. So all this stuff was going on at Brand Max, and apparently the prices were really cheap. So how much is this stuff? I mean, it was like proper cheap, like really cheap. Look, 150 for that jacket. Yeah, that jacket's like 500-600 or something, or even more. So anyway, I digress. So that's what the guy was saying about Brand Max. That's all he can afford. So Klarna have just changed their terms of service. So if you miss a payment, they now report it to credit agencies, and it will go against your credit record. Avoid Klarna at all costs. I don't know how true that is. He says he's seen that information, but I don't know how true that is. It's always good to fact check things. But if that is the case, then that's obviously a concern. Honestly, don't feel sorry for people who lack basic self-preservation instincts. Okay, so this is interesting because there are people that see the good side of Klarna, and I guess if you manage it right, then you can use Klarna to your advantage if that's your choice of how you wish to purchase something. There's going to be all types of reasons why people want to purchase an item through something like Klarna at a particular time. So he says, what's the issue with Klarna? I use it from time to time. Like I said before, keeps the missus on her toes, and it's no different than any other credit card system. It's actually better, I find. Most people use credit cards now, and they are far worse, so don't see what this sudden attack on this company is all about. You can hardly get yourself in major debt. The limit is far too small for that, and you buy something and pay it in 3 installments. First one when you order, or order and pay for the whole thing the following month. all with zero interest. People should be more worried about credit cards that have limits of thousands and charge stupid amounts of interest. It's the same with any credit from a card to a mortgage. Don't go above your means, but most do. So let's quickly have a look at this article anyway and see. It's obviously from The Sun. Furious Love Island stars plug buy now, pay later site Klarna. Klarna getting Britons into debt. So, I mean, you know, these guys like Klarna, these big companies, they tap into these super... so I'm going to move from this page. I know a lot of you young lads will be getting very excited seeing this, so I'm going to come off that. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of these companies will tap into the huge power that these mega influencers have, especially people on Love Island, where these guys have got millions of followers. And I guess if they're saying, you know, if they're doing an ad saying, yeah, you know, use Klarna, and their audience is quite young, I guess the issue with things like Klarna is the maturity of the person that's using that product. If it's a young person and they're not financially, they're not clued up 100% just yet on finance, then they are the people that might struggle with stuff like Klarna, because they might see stuff on websites, and then you see Klarna and you think, okay, if I just spread out the payments, then I can go ahead and pay for that. And I guess it all sounds really good in the first instance, right? It all sounds really good at the beginning, because you get the item, you wear it, you get that excitement of getting an item, and then you pay later. That always sounds like an exciting or better option for people sometimes at the very beginning. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes later on, you know, a month or so, situations changes, or you don't manage the finance right, and then there could be a problem. Like the other guy said, I guess with credit cards, you know, I guess there is a bit of truth to what he's saying with the credit cards, where a credit card, you can kind of like buy anything, you can go to the shops, you can go into a bar, you can use your credit card, use your PIN number, and you can start racking up, and that can quickly mount up. I've been in situations when I was younger and I first got credit cards, and I was slowly using it and racking it, and I would rack up like big amounts. I'm talking like 4k, 5k, 6k over a period of time, and I'd be like, right, how did I get all this stuff? And it wasn't just clothes, it was like going out, it was like getting food, it was like all this type of stuff I was doing when I was younger. And I would remember having to bust my balls and not spend any money and really manage myself to pay it back, and it would take ages. And then I remember probably like a couple of months later, I'll do the same thing again, and I was in this cycle of getting credit cards and buying and spending, and then having to sacrifice for like 6 months and paying it all back. And it was like, I just remember at the very end, I just got the credit cards and I just cut them all up, and I just stopped using credit cards after that. And now if I use credit cards, it's simply just to kind of build up credit, or just manage finances a lot better, or use them for short-term purchases where I know I might make more money. If it's a quick investment and I need to flip it back and I don't want to use my own money, sometimes I even do that. So if I use it, in other words, now, it's more to kind of get assets or earn money or find an investment. I don't do that a lot, but I'm saying if that's what I would more use a credit card now, as opposed to going to the shop, let me just get £500 on a jacket, or £100 on a meal or whatever, and then leave it to the end of the month and it racks up. I do not do that anymore, and I haven't done that in a very, 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 very long time. But anyway, let's read this article. So it says, broke Josh Stinchcombe can't afford Christmas presents this year after falling into the buy now, pay later debt trap, blighting the nation. The 21-year-old, who is down to just £20 in his bank account, put £200 on credit card service Klarna to buy a suit for an IT job interview. Well, I mean, mate, I don't know, man. Why would you spend £200 on a suit? You don't need to spend. I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm pretty sure if I went into Next or something like that, or even Zara, I'm pretty sure if I went into a Zara sale, I could get a suit for far less than 200. But anyway, I don't want to judge. Maybe he wanted to make an impression. I don't want to. That's each to their own. But he could not afford to pay it back, and had debt collectors chasing him. One thing about The Sun is I don't really read The Sun, but they do these stupid articles where they do things like this, and they try to make the guy seem really stupid because he's gonna spend 200 on this suit for a job interview when he didn't have a job. So I don't know. I just feel like they've just kind of picked on this lad. Maybe that's not the full story. Who knows? It's a similar story with 7 million of us now using buy now, pay later to fund Christmas after a COVID hit year, according to Compare the Market. I mean, even before COVID, this was happening. So to kind of blame it on COVID, or to say, it's down to COVID or whatever, this has been an ongoing issue. I mean, I think the fact of the matter is, you got so much of this stuff being advertised and pushed towards people that it's really hard not to take notice of all this stuff going on. And then these companies, these banks and the credit card companies and all this Klarna, at the end of the day, they're in the business of trying to get people, kind of using these services. I mean, yes, Klarna will market it like, okay, we want to help people, it's like spread the payment. And yes, there will be some people in that situation, but the truth of the matter is, there's going to be a lot more people who are falling into this trap and are not managing right, in my opinion. So Joss, whose debts total more than 2,000, including loans, believes celebs such as Love Island stars should feel guilty for promoting Klarna whilst their fans get into debt. I would personally not do a sponsorship from Klarna. If Klarna approached me and said, mate, we'll give you $2,000, we'll give you $2,500 if you I just wouldn't do it. Because for me, there's got to be something where you just like, one, is it a product that you would use? And two, is it a product that I would, if it was my best mate, would I advise him to use that product? So if someone's saying, if I don't think that I should advise my very best mate on using Klarna, okay, and I'm not saying Klarna is bad. I'm just saying, like most tools, when you come across it, there's a good and a bad for most tools, in my opinion. But why would I take £2,500 to now go and tell my mate, actually, Klarna is very good. Go and use it. Come on, man. that's just low. And I'm just sorry, man. There's no amount of money that someone can give me to go and do that if I don't feel that's right. I just don't believe in it. Money's great. Money's good. Yeah, it's good to have money in your back pocket. Yeah, it's great. But I don't want to be that guy that wants to sell out for money. I want to be the one of those last few guys left that, you dangle a check in my face and I'm like, nah, I'm okay, dude. I believe in karma. I believe in an afterlife. I don't believe that this earth is just it. So for me, just to kind of be greedy and start taking 2,500, I'm not saying that these guys are wrong for doing it. I'm just saying you just gotta, when you're a so-called influencer, and I put my hands in quotes, when you're a so-called influencer, you do have to kind of respect your audience and your following, and you do have to have this kind of thing where I want to do what's right for them because they're the ones that put me in this position in the first place. If you're just taking any old deal, then you're just a shit. You're just a bit of a shit influencer, really, because what you're saying is, I'll get $2,000 from you. Yeah, I'll promote it. Yeah, I'll do that. It's like, I don't know, man. It's not my style, but each to their own. It's Christmas, but I've told everyone they're not getting anything from me this year. Well, obviously, mate, I don't think people, they're making this guy seem so silly, man. Like, honestly. Well, obviously, you're not going to get anything, mate, because you're in $2,000 debt and you spent £200 on a suit. I mean, the son have probably twisted this poor guy's words, to be fair. 123-year-old woman who racked up 12,500 of shopping debt. Damn. I felt I had to keep up with designer clothes and handbags to look good on social media. I agree, man. It's so hard. Social media everywhere is just like people wearing this and people wearing that and handbags and this and that. And I guess if you're a young person, you just feel like you need to. I mean, there was this young guy that messaged me the other day. He's 15 and he's like, oh, I want to get a Canada Goose jacket, but I don't know what size to get. Do you think I should wait later until I get older so that I won't grow I what do you think? And I was just honest with the guy, man. I was like, look, dude, you're 15. Canada Goose jackets are expensive. You don't need one now. Go for a cheaper option. Save your money. I know it's boring to hear this. It's probably not what you want to hear, but honestly, I think that's the best option, that you just save your money, go for a cheaper option and look at Canada Goose stuff much later. Like, you're 15, you don't need to be looking at stuff like Canada Goose. I wasn't definitely looking at stuff like Canada Goose when I was 15. Probably not until I was like 20, 23, 20, not even that, 25? Something like this, 26, 27, something like that is when I started looking at Canada Goose. So, yes, a lot of these young ones are pushed into this kind of like designer lifestyle. And now businesses like Klarna and all this, like they're trying to give them ways to purchase this stuff. And the other thing as well is that these companies, they actively target young people because they know it's the young people really that are making a majority of the spend. So it's a tough one. Anyway, so this week, consumer experts called for firms such as Klarna to be regulated like banks. Of course, gonna quickly pass by that. I know you guys will get excited. They do need to have it regulated. So I didn't even know it wasn't regulated. Klarna has 10 million UK customers, bagging 3 million since lockdown in March. Damn, man. More than half of 18 to 24-year-olds use some form of buy now, pay later service. Many high street stores offer the same service too, including Marks and Spencer's, Uniqlo, H&M, as well as online shops such as ASOS. Retailers love it because shoppers spend 68% more if they choose to pay later, market leaders say. You see, the problem that we've had now is that, especially with clothing, this is my challenge, is that every year this stuff gets more and more expensive. It's really, really expensive, this designer clothing stuff, and they raise the prices every year. I believe that they struggle on the high end of the clothing because there's not that many people that want to spend £700-800 on a jumper. I don't want to spend £700-800 on a jumper, and people look at those prices and like, seeing those big numbers. So I think retailers are, they're having a bit of a problem at the moment, and they're trying to find ways to offload this stock at the retail, because I think what's happening is a lot of stuff comes in and a lot of it ends up in the sale, because the truth of the matter is a lot of people are buying stuff in the sales because it's not selling at the higher end at the RRP price. So what Klarna has allowed these guys is for them to kind of access a market that wants to buy now, pay it later. So the retailers, I guess they kind of really like it because it gives them that option. Again, I guess if you are an individual that can manage it well and you've got your reasons you can manage it, that's fine. I'm not trying to beat on Klarna like that. I'm just saying, what about the other percentage of people that don't manage it well and are getting themselves into it and are having problems and maybe having addiction, or maybe, having this thing where they want designer clothing? So that's the problem that I see arising from this, okay? It's so Klarna is the biggest shopping phenomenon to come out of Sweden since IKEA, but it's creating even more headache than making flat pack furniture. The people that write these stories, man. Its slogan boasts buy now, pay later so you can get what you love today. I mean, yeah, even that, if you were like a financial expert and you saw that slogan, that would be like a nightmare slogan to have, man, because, people who are really into finance and know how to manage their money, they don't give into the emotion of buying into stuff now and then reaping the downsides later on when you have to kind of pay it off. A lot of this is about emotion, these guys, they kind of play on your emotion a little bit. But if you don't, can't, or forget to make all payments within 3 months, your debt is referred to a collection agency. 1 in 10 buy now, pay later customers are hit by the late fees, according to which Klarna does not charge fees, but similar products by ClearPay come with late fees of £36 and PayPal charges of £12. Damn. Josh from Gloucester said, I was 19 and wanted to look smart for a job interview, so I put £200 on Klarna. They could see I had a bad credit score, but irresponsibly offered me the money. I mean, dude, man, this is what I mean. If what the Sun's newspaper is saying is true about this Josh, because I would just be skeptical how they write these stories and make people seem like they're like a bit of idiots. But at the same time, let's just say that this did happen to Josh. There's got to be a responsibility on both ends, because what it means is that you're not responsible, you're irresponsible, but you've still gone and applied for this credit knowing you've got bad credit and knowing that you're irresponsible, and now you're moaning that, hey, I'm irresponsible, why have you come and give me money? I believe there are people like that. I believe there are people in that situation, and they just fully don't understand. They haven't had the conversations about money, or have conversations with their mates, honest conversations with their mates about finance, that when they now come into this situation, they're not armed with enough knowledge and tools to make a decision properly, and they're just going on emotion and kind of quick thinking and off the cuff kind of decisions. So I think it is good if you have friends and if you have good mates, you have these good conversations, you talk about money situations. I know it might be hard if someone's in debt or someone's not managing their money, but if you've got good mates, talk about these situations with your mates so that you can understand, about debt. Because you'd be surprised sometimes you have a mate and you think, you're there being pressured to go and buy these designer clothing and go on Klarna, and you go and have a discussion with your mate and he goes, nah, you know what, I don't think it's a good idea, You might have a mate like that and you think, oh, okay, I thought you might have been into that, but nah, yeah, you're right. And then it can help you to talk out of being in a situation like that. Again, you can always come into our group, Hoxton Money Matters, and this is exactly what our page is about. It's about people being able to come on, have a conversation with people online, talk and discuss your ideas, and just have just kind of get an idea to start off with finance. I got paid 3 days ago, and I'm down to my why do they put these pictures here in the middle of a Klarna debt? It's like, I don't really understand it, man, but what do you expect? It's the sun, man. They need to keep some people's attention span going, I guess. Whilst you're scrolling down the page reading, I guess some people are going to get bored and they think, oh yeah, look, I've got this picture to keep me entertained, and you keep going to more text. People got short attention span these days. But anyway, I got paid 3 days ago, and now I'm down to £20 in my account. Even COVID and Christmas should not persuade you to take credit unless you are certain you can pay it back. These latest buy now, pay later schemes allow customers to take out credit in one click without a full check. Unlike with credit cards or loans, which need to complete assessments to determine if a person is able to repay. Right. Klarna does a lower level credit check and says failing to pay back debt does not affect customers' credit rating. I actually listened to a podcast with some financial experts, and what one of the girls on there was saying is that when you look at your credit rating, and your credit rating is just like a history, it's like a logbook of your finances. It's all the stuff, what you've taken out, loans you've got, all this stuff. I don't know if they know the amounts of what you've taken out, but they kind of know there's only a certain amount of information that they can see, and they make a decision based on that. But what I've heard is some financial institutions that want to lend or whatever, they will look at your credit rating and they just see Klarna. And because they see that as a short-term finance, it can actually go against your credit score, because they think, why are you taking out this short-term finance? They look at that as like a bad way for you to take out debt. In other words, as this article was saying, people are getting themselves into debt, and then they go to places like Klarna because there's not as much credit checks. So then people might do it in a bit of desperation. So the finance institution looks and says, oh, maybe this person is not able to manage their situation. That's why they've gone to Klarna. But critics accuse Klarna of throwing money at young people who cannot get other credit, starting a debt spiral, blighting their adult life. Gosh, man, there could be some truth in that, to be honest with you. Again, I think a higher amount of people will fall, it will fall to the wayside, and they might not be able to manage it, is what my concern is. Some customers say they did not even realize they were signing up for a credit when they clicked on the Klarna logo, thinking it was a payment provider like PayPal. Others said they did not receive any reminders about their payment or insist that Klarna would not return phone calls. Buy now, pay later is currently unregulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, but the Financial Conduct Authority is planning a crackdown. They really should do, to be honest. A spokesman for the Financial Wellness Group, which advised Josh on his debt, said buy now, pay later products are targeted at young consumers at the point of purchase with little time to consider the pros and cons of paying later. Alice Tapper, who runs Klarna campaign, added Christmas shoppers use buy now, pay later or storing up trouble for the new year. I mean, look, this is not new to Klarna. Before Klarna was here, this was the same story every year. Every Christmas is the same story. Parents get pressured to buy stuff. People feel pressure to buy stuff. People are in a buying mood, so they try to forget about their problems and spend more during Christmas. So this is not a Klarna specific problem. This is more like a consumer problem, and also possibly a marketing problem, where there's so much marketing and influence to kind of spend around this time that people get themselves into these predicaments. And again, I think it's a bit of financial understanding, it's a bit of financial awareness and financial honesty, and having conversations that can really help with stuff like this. Every time a customer chooses to pay by Klarna, we do a soft credit check determining their credit worthiness. Soft credit check? Okay. For customers who do not pay within the time frame, we communicate to remind them of the debt and remains unpaid. If the debt remains unpaid for several months, turn it over to debt collectors and contact the customer. Right. And what happens is the debt collectors pay them, they pay Klarna off for the debt, and then they go and start chasing that person, and they can be very, very harsh. They can be very, demanding. It can get quite scary at that point, to be honest. Interest or fees are never added. Your credit score will not be impacted even if you fail to pay on time. Look, here's an article on PayPal. When PayPal is your enemy, I'll do an article on that on PayPal another time. But yeah, so that was Klarna. So that was interesting about Klarna. Right. So this is it. This is how Klarna makes their money. Right. How does Klarna make profits? That's what I want to know. Okay. We hear you. Some people think it seems too good to be true. Interest free, no late payment fees. So who pays it? In the UK, we have 3 products: pay in 30 days, installments, and financing. For our 2 most popular and widely used products, paying 30 days in installments, we make our money through a retailer fee, right? So the retailers pay them a fee. Our retailers pay us a transaction fee on every time you shop on their website with Klarna, right? So I guess that's a little bit like credit cards. Credit cards, every time you use a credit card, the retailer pays a fee to that credit card company for that amount, a transaction fee. So that makes sense. Last year we processed over 20 million transactions. Damn. So even if it was a £1 fee, that's 20 mil for those transactions. If I thought it was £1, and I'm sure it's more than that. So that means we are able to offer you our service completely free of charge, right? This model is similar to all other payment methods that retailers offer: credit cards, debit cards, and they all have fees. Only old-fashioned cash doesn't come at a price. And in 2019, UK Finance found this accounted for less than 30% of transactions. Wow. Our third product finances for when you want longer term financing to help you spread your cost to 6 to 36 months. This is only for larger purchases like furniture and technology financing, and has a small interest charge for the consumer. It has a mix of retailer fees and sometimes a small interest charge for the consumer, up to 18.9% APR. Right, so that's it, man. There you go, guys. That's how Klarna works. So it's all by a fee. So it is like a proper credit card almost system, but the way that it's been done, the way they've set it up with the loopholes, I'd imagine they are not operating like a credit card because they are not as regulated as credit card companies and banks. Okay, look, I'm old school. I think it's good to develop old school habits and not get too caught up. I do not like the idea of paying things off monthly. I do not like the idea of having a debt hanging over my head. If I have a debt, I want to pay it now, and I don't want to spread it out over a couple of months. If I buy something, I want to own it outright. If I get a car, I want to own it outright. I do not want to be paying monthly. I just don't like it. I'm just old school. It's how I was brought up. When I was younger, I delved into it. I got myself into financial trouble when I was younger, spending, going on credit cards, thinking, you don't realize when you spend on a credit card, you don't realize, and you come back later and you see your credit card bill and it's there like 2,000, 3,000. Oh my God, you got to pay that off, and you got to start taking chunks of money to pay it off. And I didn't like the feeling that it gave me. I didn't like having to sacrifice for several months, saving up £300 a month and taking that 7-8 months to go and pay something off. Long. So I know what I'm like. So I don't want to put myself in that situation. So I'd rather allow it. I'd rather have the peace of mind and go without the headache of worry. Okay. I do not like to worry. I do not like the stress. So if it was me, I would say avoid it, just to keep old school ethics. Now, there's going to be a lot of new school cats that know how to manage this really well. It's got nothing to do with them not having the money. They've got the money. They just want to manage their money in a completely different type of new school way. And I don't think there's a problem with that. If you are able to manage yourself, then that is cool as well. Everyone's got their own style. I get it. Where the problem is where cats are not looking into their finances. They don't understand things financially. They're very emotional when it comes to purchasing, very emotional when it comes to money. And when they see Klarna and they see the influencers and they see all this cool, slick looking stuff, they go and buy it, and they don't take too much consideration, and they buy stuff. They try it out a few times, and then it works for them a few times, and then later on they say, oh, I want to make a bigger purchase, and then next thing you know, they've got themselves into a pickle and they got a bit of debt and they're having some problems. That is where the problem is. That is where the problem lies. I would say, look, before you start looking into Klarna and this and that I would say get your money situation sorted. Have conversations with people. Join the Money Matters group. Read podcasts. Read blog. There's so much stuff out there. I think the number one thing that you can invest in for yourself is reading into your finances. How to manage, how to save, how to manage your money. Once you kind of get that up and you can honestly say, you know what? Once you've done that, maybe save yourself £1 grand, £2 grand, £3 grand, £4 grand, £5 grand. Why not? Save it up. Once you've done that and you've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5k saved up in the bank and you're feeling a bit more confident and less emotional with money, then if you want, go and look at things like Klarna. But then read through the terms and conditions and understand it and plan yourself and have a backup pot. Don't go and get Klarna and say, oh, I'll pay it off in 1 month, 2 months or 30 days. And you know you ain't got no backup finance in one of your accounts to go and, if there's an issue or you lose your job or something happens, you ain't got a backup account to go and pay that Klarna off straight away. Where you're going to make the mistake is if you come back, something happens, and you're like, damn, I can't pay that payment and I ain't got nothing. Like that guy that went and spent £200 on a suit and he only had £20. He never had no backup finance. If he understood finance, he would have had a backup finance. So if when he realised, oh, I can't pay the 200, he would have gone into his savings and thought, drats, I've messed myself up. Let me go and get 200 from my savings, pay this Klarna, get them off my back, and then let me just carry on with my day rather than going over to the sun and complaining about the influencers. Okay, that's how I feel about it, guys. It's only my opinion. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm just saying that is my opinion. And if it was a mate, that is what I would say to a mate. And since I regard you guys as my mates, I would say the same to you. Okay. So listen, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it informative. Again, I was going to do the Arcadia group. I will try and do that next week. I just saw another article there on PayPal and issues on PayPal. I'm going to cover that as well. I hope you're enjoying these Hox Talk videos. I hope you found them useful and informative. I just thought it would be another way for me to kind of communicate these kind of cool stories that we come across and give you my thoughts and opinions. Okay, listen, don't forget to follow us on the Facebook group. Don't forget to follow our website, TheHoxtonTrend. That can help you find lots of deals and sales and genuine and authentic retailers as well if you're looking for stuff like that. And yeah, I guess that's it, guys. Listen, I'm out of there. Catch you lot soon. Peace out.